EDG and Weibo, they opt not for the Aphelios. They pick the Lee Sin, so EDG probably going to secure that themselves.
Yeah, again, good early jungle priority here. I will say, though, as we mentioned earlier, Lee Sin great in the early game if you use him. Not really something that SofM has been known for so far this split. Definitely had a bit more of a PvE setup so far, and that's why we kind of see them as the comeback kids, because without that early proactivity, they don't tend to get massive early advantages. They do get goal differences because they are just fantastically good laners, but it is going to be on EDG now to try and punish that pick, and they've already gone with the Aphelios saying, look, we want the big matchup in the bot lane, we want Viper on something that can carry, and they pick up Scouts on the Ahri.
Yeah, and I think there's a range of picks that can do well into the Ahri that we've seen. You know, I think Syndra's fine. LeBlanc's a bit of a skill matchup. We've seen Vex is a good matchup. So all these things pretty solid. I would like to see Weibo pick them up probably in this rotation. But you are also forced to take AD carry, and it wouldn't be a surprise to see the Xayah come in. We've talked a fair bit about how, you know, Huanfeng is willing to lean on this when others are taken, and that's why this last pick is kind of a difficult one. Do you prioritize a mid lane pick for Angel to match the Ahri, or do you go for support? Because something in my mind would be the Rakan, something that on plays well and also does sync up. You get those extra bonuses with the Xayah. And
not only that, it was back to what we talked about, the big team fighting tools that we mentioned. This has been a staple for the side of Weibo Gaming. They have gone for those big quicknesses, and they've also been able to just get that big engage going out for them. So this is pretty part and parcel for what we've seen for most of the split from Weibo.
Yeah, absolutely. And now for EDG, I'm interested to see how they go here, because it's either support or jungle. I feel like in my mind would be the common ones. They could go off the rails and just pick a top, ban away counters. But it looks like for the time being, they want to prioritize having a decent jungle matchup. We often see Hecarim paired with Ahri, gives really strong team fighting tools, but they opt for more early power instead. They want to be able to match SofM on the Lee Sin by taking that VOlibear.
And we've seen such a wide spectrum of VOlibear play so far this playoff. Sometimes he looks indomitable, unbelievably powerful 1-6. And then we've seen games like yesterday where TM picks it and doesn't do anything for 20 minutes. So
yeah,
he is a bit of a flip.
Sometimes it's a polar bear, sometimes it's a teddy bear. And it's like, it can go either way. Now, for EDG, banning away the Sylas makes a lot of sense. You know, talked a bit about how Weibo might want to prioritize a mid in the first rotation. So counters wouldn't be taken, and obviously EDG are starting to ban matchups like good in the Ahri. The Sylas as well, because obviously you can steal away the ultimate, and also VOlibear ultimate is a great one to nab. Also see the LeBlanc getting taken away. We did actually see Scout early in the season play this matchup very comfortably, but it's definitely a skill matchup, and one where the LeBlanc does tend to be favored later on. Now, we see the Nautilus ban come out here. I feel like EDG probably just going to take the support here, unless there's a top laner they really want to prioritize, but I feel like you probably leave the counter pick for Flandre. And this would be an interesting one if it came out. And they are actually going to lock in the Zilean. So a lot of people have talked about how this is a good matchup into the Rakan. Has a ton of movement speed that you can sort of mitigate. But also, I think the critical thing is Zilean's kind of a bit vulnerable in lane if you can engage on him. But Rakan isn't the most threatening in lane, right? His strengths come from when he hits level 6 and when he gets in the later stages. So a massive scaling pick here that Meiko's going to have his hands on to really set up his team. Now for Weibo, they're actually going to go for the Azir, so something that can contest priority against the Ahri, something that scales very well, and is going to be a bit of a pain for EDG to get onto, because they don't have, you know, the best tools in terms of support like Leona or Nautilus. It is going to be very reliant on Scout, I feel, to close the gap. And then finally, TheShy is actually going to take the Kennen. No Scion today.
No Scion today, but just a little fun fact there. I was waiting to see our final pick coming in here for Flandre. It's only the third time we've seen Meiko on the Zilean. He played it once last year in 2021 Inter-World Championship. Vladimir coming in for Flandre. We saw this very early for EDG, this split.
Yeah, and I might be wrong on the numbers. I'm pretty sure it was into the Kennen as well. It is actually a really favorable matchup because typically Kennen likes to play into melee champions because you can harass them down, use that range advantage, and they struggle to get onto him because of his E and also the fact he stuns them. With Vladimir, you just get a free farm lane, right? You out-sustain the Kennen, you can handle trades, and if you lose them, it's fine. You sustain up, and you scale exceptionally. So I actually really love how EDG have brought out some interesting picks, some counters that we don't often see in terms of the Zilean and the Vladimir. So this is kind of what I was talking about earlier when I said EDG are a scary team in the best of 5, because they will bring out stuff like this, and it very much feels like this is something they, obviously with the Vladimir, they had it prepared from earlier this season, but clearly they were ready for the Rakan to come in with that Zilean. And I think there's two aspects to it. One, Obviously, they get good matchups for themselves that, you know, maybe Weibo don't have experience playing again. But also, it's very hard to ban, right? When you bring out these last, like, they're throwing bans at things like the Tryndamere. I don't think they just expected the Vladimir. So, you know, EDG are like, you know, you ban the Trinity, we don't care. We got everything prepared.
Exactly. Like, if we're thinking about the whole champion pool Flandre played at the start of the split, Annie is in there as well. So, like, it's kind of just one of those things. And look, Vladimir does have his pros and his cons. You are waiting till level 9 before he really gets that Q up and available. So he's making real damage and getting real sustain. But it is going to be very interesting. Again, back to the team fighting as such. I will say that for Weibo, it is very much reminiscent to what we've seen in the regular split. Big team fighting ultimate from TheShy to go for the engage. You got the follow-up with On. And then, of course, the Azir and the Xayah playing on that backline just to try and shred through targets. We will have to wait and see how it all unfolds. But, Aux, we are jumping onto the Rift for Game 1 of this best of 5 Weibo Gaming, the 2020 World Finalists versus EDG, the 2021 World Champions. One of these teams will be going home today.
Yeah, big consequences on the result of this. I feel like Weibo, with the start of the split, had such a strong performance, and I feel like the same can be said for EDG. I feel like coming in, these two were two of our top competitors. Things are a little bit rough, which is why we're seeing them so early in the playoffs, but the fact we will be losing one today is massive. Now, something I want to talk a bit about, Sheen, is bot lane matchup. Okay, so I talked a bit about how the Zilean is pretty good with the Rakan. One of the things with Rakan is, like, you have picks like Leona and Nautilus where they can land the engage pretty reliably, especially when you have supports of this caliber. Problem with Rakan is, like, the W, you can just run out of it if you have enough movement speed, and Zilean provides that movement speed, so it becomes really difficult to actually pressure this pick who scales so exceptionally.
Again, the Zilean has been just something that Meiko is very clearly picking as something into the Rakan. It feels like it's something that he has prepared, like you mentioned, and that's what we're going to have to see how this matchup goes. And again, like you said, if it does end up going back into another game where Weibo fall to the Zilean, pick ban becomes an awful lot more interesting, an awful lot more dynamic, because you can't rely on your staple picks, as we have to see now where both these junglers end up going. They're going to start with pretty much the same bot side matchup as they look to try and just move themselves up towards that top side. I will say, we mentioned TheShy coming out onto the, you know, leaning towards more tank duties now on the Kennen. Kennen's susceptible to ganks. The Kennen can be punished, and with the way SofM has played towards, or rather the lack of way he's played towards this top side, it can be a little bit more dangerous. So I'm curious to see where these junglers go, and what do you expect to see from them in this early game?
Well, honestly, I feel like it's kind of tricky for EDG, because as much as, you know, you can gank a Kennen, Vladimir just doesn't have the setup right. I feel like that's one of the larger issues. A similar thing with the Azir. If you can land a charm from Scout, great, but chances are if Angel's playing it safe, it's so hard to get on him, right? And the VOlibear, he can charge at you, but he can't gap close as easily as something like the Lee Sin. So as much as we talk about how SofM isn't the most active in the early game, a lot of poke coming out, I feel like he is the one who has more tools in his pocket. For the time being, though, we're seeing the result of this bot lane matchup. So often is the case where, you know, a champion like Rakan, or even things like Leona or Nautilus, if you're into a double range matchup, you will just get harassed and zoned out. And this is something we've seen extensively from EDG this split. So many games of Karma Ezreal where it's like, we are going to take double range bot lane and apply the pressure onto you.
Yeah, we can see Jiejie already saying, look, I'm going to be the aggressive one. I'm going to look to try and make something happen in the jungle. SofM, though, was wise to his tricks, did pick up the blue before he was in any other camp on that top side, so nothing to be garnered there. But again, the power of the VOlibear, you just have a much faster clear. You have a much more powerful 1 to 3 spikes, so you have to respect it. And now Jiejie should be at himself double scuttles. Not the biggest thing in the world. This isn't 2021, so it is just a nice little thing to get. Not going to be too instrumental in the early game.
I really feel like SofM, you know, it's hard but to set up, as I said, with the Rakan. We talked about why it's difficult to find the engage. But I feel like if you just leave this bot lane independent, you're going to really struggle. And you can actually see Jiejie is down towards the bot side, providing some additional pressure, and they're going to get zoned off some waves, already having lost a plate. Yeah, plate already down, Huanfeng and On getting zoned away. Already a substantial CS lead for Viper. That wave, you know, is just being cleared out. So this is essentially a 13 CS lead before this next wave is even being cleared.
Yeah.
Really, really starting to bleed. And that's the thing, is that the Aphelios scales so exceptionally well, especially when you have a Zilean backing you up. So big pain point for Weibo right now.
You can see SofM, he did get a clear on a camp on that top side, so he's not losing out in terms of the VOlibear pressure, but so difficult to gank a Vladimir. He goes into the Sanguine pool, basically just becomes immortal, and when you're trying to get him under the tower, it's just not really an option, especially with the teleport changes. So unless you're for some reason throwing Angel and possibly On up there as well, you're not really going to be able to do anything there.
Yeah, I think the big thing is if the wave was pushing in the direction and Flandre was overextended, that's when things get tricky because you can chase him down. But in this situation where the wave is pushed towards him, they weren't really in a position to go for a dive, which is 2-man, because as you said, the pool makes it difficult, and so Flandre can just farm up pretty safely. Is down a little bit in terms of CS, but that's not too much of a concern. At the end of the day, you are just scaling subs exceptionally well. I want to go back to a point you mentioned, was the level 9. And that is a big spike for Vladimir. Basically, you put points in your queue, that's what you max. And when you get level 9, that is obviously when it is maxed, and that's when it gets the lowest cooldown just by putting points into it. And it makes a big difference because, you know, it's your main trading tool, it's your sustain, right? And the more you can rotate it, the quicker you can get those empowered ones that are really going to hurt the Kennen.
We'll see how it ends up working out. I will say Flandre and any Vladimir player in the world will probably be thinking, yeah, the teleport changes really help us. We're not going to be dove. We don't have to use it in any kind of real way. So you can kind of just be a little bit more selfish with it for the first few minutes of the game and get yourself up to that big power spike. But we are waiting now to see what level 6 is being hit. You do have the ultimate there from Flandre on the Vladimir as Jiejie starts to roam around here with Scout, but they will be spotted out in a ward. And as much as we love to call Azir a very big late game carry, because he is, he's also incredibly safe in that mid lane. Very difficult to actually catch him out when he has his flash available. Yeah,
it's what we've seen a lot from Fofo when he was bringing it out, is that you're good at contesting priority, you're hard to push out the lane, you're hard to gank. There's a lot of difficulty there. And interesting enough, so this is pretty cool. On has summoned a spellbook, and he actually switched to TP to very quickly get back on the map and have presence here. Unfortunately, I'm not sure they're going to be in time to do much about this dragon.
I think it's a little bit too late, as On is going to take a little bit of harassment, but yeah, I like the adaptation. I like the fact I actually didn't even notice that he had the summoner spellbook, but it is going to make it another little bit of a tricky moment here for EDG when you go in, when you're looking for stuff. What summoner spells does he have? Because those can be instrumental in a big team fight.
100%, and I think the thing is that typically we see the Rakan with the Guardian, which obviously does scale well, but it's also a pretty strong laning tool, right? I think the thought process here is our lane is just completely screwed, so I might as well pick something to impact the map and so I can be more relevant later. But you can see the constant harassment coming out from Viper and Meiko. Now, Gage comes in, actually.
Yeah, they catch out Viper, who's taken very, very low. He gets flashed on, he heals, he's still kiting backwards and then ticked down. Here comes SofM, who gets the kick off of Meiko, and they will take down the Time Lord. That's first blood to Weibo, and SofM, for the first time in what feels like an eternity, being proactive.
Yeah, love to see it, and we needed this because bot lane was struggling for Weibo. They needed some activity, but I have to say, EDG's bot lane, they were pretty much losing out before SofM even turned up. They probably wouldn't have been able to get a kill, but the fact they burned all the summoners, Viper just getting caught out by the Rakan W. I highlighted how with the extra movement speed, you should be able to get out of it. And we'll see the replay here. You know, the thought process is I get sped up by my Zilean, I can walk it out. Doesn't manage to get it, and because he thinks he's going to make it out, he ends up burning his summoners late. He's already so low in this situation, and sure, he gets away, but I like this from SofM. He commits the kill on Meiko. The summoners are still burnt by Viper to get out, but they end up getting a kill secured for that Lee Sin.
Yeah, and again, I love the target selection, like you mentioned. SofM saying, look, it's almost certain that Viper is going to be flashing out of this kick. There's no real way I'm going to be able to take him out, and I just don't get a kill from it. But by focusing out Meiko, he gets the best of both worlds. He gets both the summoners, and he gets the kill as well. So good moves here from Weibo's jungler in the early game, gets first blood, and honestly just relieves a lot of pressure because he's still, yes, they're still 20 CS down, but that little extra kill, a little bit of extra assist gold goes a long way in the run. But we're going to see him moving top side as Flandre now having to use a Sanguine Plume. They're going to see them now jumping onto TheShy, who tries to go over. No, he's not quite able to get it. But SofM is there to try and see if he can clean up house. Flandre trying to dodge the Sonic Wave. SofM thinking about it, but he's not going to be able to land it. But while this has been happening, Scout's going to roam up, and you have no real way to go. You have no minions to help you out, and Scout is the janitor in this fight.
That's the power of the Ahri. Something we love to see is moving that pressure onto the sides. SofM tries to get that gank to Flandre, but I think the problem is it's just so hard to punish that Vlad. And as much as they do get that one kill, there's a lot of minions going to be... Actually, no, it's a Kennen minion, so I don't think TheShy even misses that much in the end. But either way,
3
still
minions.
a successful play coming out from EDG.
Very successful play from EDG, and that equals up themselves in the goal. But with that pressure going up towards that top side, they know the VOlibear isn't here in the bot lane. That means On and Huanfeng are very comfortable to push this up, very comfortable to get this wave going for themselves. And we are starting to see this bot lane get themselves coming back into this, as the gold is actually, funny enough, it's pretty much dead even, but arguably Huanfeng's a little bit ahead.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Got the assist gold, able to get those 2 plates and close the CS gap. So, I mean, this one, Flandre just caught out. He's aware of that. Pops the ult in the pool to buy time and heal. And then it's very close here because he gets stunned, isn't able to instantly get that heal off, but does manage to trade those kills. And then SofM, kind of hard to land the max wave Sonic Wave there. Unfortunately, with Scouts roam up, does get taken down. But now, 10 minutes in the game, so a bit later, right? This Herald's been up for a while. We see EDG moving over, and ultimately, I don't think we necessarily see a Weibo contest right now, although it looks like actually they're going to go for it. They are, both AD carries are moving, but Viper's going to be far quicker.
They've got the quickness here on, so he could look for something. Charm just go off and they miss it. There's the kickback as TheShy jumps back in onto Flandre. The Hemo plate goes down. He's already got to back off of cooldown. He's going to try and sustain this one out, but he does not get the healing. Yes, you get the Rift Herald, but can you collect right now, EDG? They're going to try and go in 3v3, collect this one. It will go to Scout, which isn't ideal, but it is still very close there. I think EDG, you're okay with that trade, but if this plate goes over to the side of Weibo, it's kind of even.
Yeah, I feel like it's an interesting one because ultimately you saw the fact that Huanfeng wasn't moving and Viper was, and that's why I thought Weibo weren't going to contest, right? They did find the kill on a Flandre, which I like, but ultimately, at the end of the day, you get that kill, you don't even get a plate in the bot lane because they already had those 2 from before, and EDG now have the Herald. They now have that tool to play around with, so I think despite the fact Weibo got that kill, EDG, they're perfectly happy with how it turned out. And you saw as well the fact that they try to strong-arm them away from picking up the eye, and EDG would just have none of it. They were like, no, we can easily move in. Scout, especially on the Ahri, if things do turn south, can get out.
Yeah, absolutely. And despite everything that's kind of gone in the early game in favor of EDG in terms of the laning phase, it has actually been a bit of a gold lead now kind of accruing itself for Weibo. They got themselves about 1,000 gold lead. You can see it's actually pretty much dead even in the AD carries, despite the 10 or 20 CS difference between them at the moment. Jiejie starts up the dragon, but don't think he wants to try and take it just yet, as SofM and Angel are in the vicinity. But with EDG having pushed in that bot side, they are the ones with priority. They are the ones that are able to move their bot lane to the scene of the crime a little bit earlier. So EDG not quite yet in a position to take this dragon, but the support's going to go into a little bit of supportal combat before it.
Yeah, we see the wave getting pushed in bot though, so EDG need to answer, and that kind of forces them away. I do think that trying to secure the second dragon, obviously nice for EDG, so they can lean the game a little bit later when they have things like Vladimir on their side, if they feel confident in their team fighting. But because they spent a little bit too much time trying to contest the dragon area, they had to answer those waves, they had to back off. It means Weibo can just sweep in and grab this one now. So I do want to talk about, it is Scout with the Herald. Obviously, you'd love to have your jungler be able to grab it because then he can move anywhere, but I think the place they want the Herald to go down is mid, right? And I often talk about how if you're going to drop it in the side lane, you want to get the whole tower. You want to get that first tower gold. If you drop it in the mid lane, it's to lower the tower so that you can pick it up with, say, the second Herald. It is vitally important this game because Azir is so hard to force off that tower, right? He has great wave clear, a really hard dive target, and I feel like the sooner EDG pick up the tower, the better. It means they can start looking to pressure sides more heavily, which is great with the VOlibear. So that's where I would like to see them place down the Herald and look for those 2 plates. They can leave it for a little bit, right? There's still like a minute left, and they could try and find a window where they have pressure on top of the Herald to apply it.
He's after dodging out the pink ward there that's in the tribe rush, so you do not know that Jiejie is here, and this is going to be big for Weibo. They need to push in this wave as soon as they possibly can, but here comes Scout trying to get caught out there by the Emperor's Divide of Angel, but not quite able to get him. The Spirit Rush is good, but now On and Huanfeng know that something's up, and they're going to get him over the side of the wall. Jiejie seeing if he can make something happen. It looks like they're going to try and drop the Rift Herald down this bot side. Just keep the full tower, like you mentioned, going. The cleanse instant from On. That spellbook is doing work right now, as we can see them kind of going forward, trying to take down this Rift Herald before it gets its charge off. They will not be able to do it, but EDG, it's sloppy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the critical thing is that Weibo denied those extra plates. Yes, the first tower is taken, but they buy just enough time, and as a result, Weibo still have a 500 gold lead EDG get that first tower, but yeah, and the thing is as well, this bot lane tier 1, I don't think it's as substantial as mid lane, because now you're in a position where you need that second herald, right? If EDG don't get that second herald, I think they really struggle to get mid tier 1 anytime soon, and Azir is just such a difficult target to push up the tower, and also, I feel like in terms of anti-dive tools, Weibo have so many, it's not easy to pull off. Of course, EDG do have the VOlibear, they do have the Vladimir that could really go a long way, but you really don't want to take a massive risk against something like an Azir. So second herald, I think, is going to be a big point of contention between these teams.
As we come up past the 15-minute mark, we can see pretty much dead even across the board for pretty much everyone. Slight gold lead in top, slight gold lead in mid. Nothing really too much to be talking about, but where do you want to see these two teams going? We start to see first items being picked up, and honestly, just to give a credit where credit is due, SofM has been fantastic so far in this early game and really has kind of shown us up to be a little bit better in terms of his early game proactivity.
Yeah, he's been making things happen, so absolutely got to...
Oh, he's been baited in. Flandre does not get the Chemo Plague down. Well, he gets it down, but he won't get the benefit of it, as we can see there. Just a great bait and switch there from TheShy and SofM. And for the first time, we're seeing this top-mid jungle combination actually work together.
Yeah, it's a great point. Oh, Viper with a nice Gale Force there to dodge away. Doesn't even have to be in the summoners, which is a massive aspect here. Now On might be in trouble.
Oh, Moonlight Vigil goes out. Huanfeng going to have to use his ultimate just to mitigate the damage there, but it's starting to ramp up a little bit. Again, as soon as we start to see those first items being picked up, we're starting to see teams getting very frisky, very dangerous, as we can now see Jiejie going up towards the top side. Angel now knows he's there, because sadly for Jiejie, he just popped the blast cone a little bit too far forward. In a little bit of trouble, as SofM does pop himself over the wall, but it is going to be just fine. TheShy should be able to pick up this turret in bot side, and out of nowhere, the gears have shifted. The game's pace has picked itself up a little bit, and I'm so excited for it, because again, these are two top quality teams in the LPL, and they're starting to show why.
Yeah, in this mid game, really applying the pressure. EDG moving their duo mid lane, and they've been able to consistently come out ahead against Huanfeng and On in terms of the harass, chunked out that mid lane tower, and then they just go for this great lead in the top side because they have pressure mid, they can move up there. The threat of this VOlibear forced the Azir back, and even though they didn't get the tower, they got that extra pressure, but they are looking towards a second herald, and this one expectedly would go down in the mid lane. They do need to secure a first. And SofM, 4-1-0 on this Lee Sin, really strong.
Very, very strong, even as a Hex Drinker to keep himself alive. As we're going to see, there's the Stormbringer coming down as JJ's in a lot of trouble. He has got a bomb on him. And don't forget, the Zilean revive is still there. Chrono Shift, very powerful in these very skirmish-heavy, burst-heavy fights. But it is Weibo who are able to push back EDG and say that they have control over the Rift Herald.
Let's see if they're able to maintain that control. Right now, TheShy is there. Do you see a TP coming in? Flandre would be huge here.
Yeah, and On's back in the base, so it's a 5v4. Weibo smartly kind of backing themselves away very, very quickly because they recognize they cannot contest this. They will lose the second Herald, and again, both teams fighting tooth and nail right now, not willing to give an inch.
Yeah, and I think it just shows how much priority there was on securing the second Herald for EDG. The fact they commit that TP with so much effort and secured it. Now, they should be able to defend this tower here. Viper,
Gale Force does get him back out to safety, or relative safety. That turret taking a bit of a beating. This is 4v5 in the mid lane in favor of Weibo, as you can just see on your screen there. Scout went off to the top side. They will have SofM on the back end, who just get the kickback on the Jiejie, and that will just be a disengage. So you gain the second Herald, you gain a tier 2 or tier 1 on top, but you lose your tier 1 in mid.
Yeah, and I like it from Weibo. They really strong on there and just made sure they could secure it. I don't think there was too much threat of onto Jiejie, especially since we have Meiko with the ultimate. But at the end of the day, I feel like the mid-tier 1 take isn't as important for Weibo, right? I think EDG having the Herald to get the enemy mid-tier 1 a lot more relevant, because I just think it's the Azir. Such a massive presence stopping pressure onto towers. Now SofM will pick up the Dragon. It is an Ocean Soul, which I feel like, you know, there's some champions it's definitely going to be impactful on. I feel like it's probably EDG who would prefer to have this, especially when there's so much healing from things like Vladimir already, and Jiejie is so tanky. but definitely something the teams will look to prioritize. SofM is just stealing everything right now.
I mean, SofM has been so proactive so far, and honestly, we had a lot of criticisms for this guy coming into the split. He hasn't really, you mentioned it when we talked about Weibo, it's like they're kind of seen as the comeback kids because they didn't have really good jungle proximity. They didn't work as a team, or rather, they didn't seem to work with their jungler as well in those first 15 minutes of the game. It felt more like they were, when they were forced to go into 5v5s, that's when they shone the brightest. But now they seem to have shored up that issue. They seem to have figured out what the problem was, and they are now moving forward as a unit. SofM, 4 kills, all the kills on the side of Weibo go towards him, and it's a testament to his early game. Now look at On, he's on the flank, and he may be looking to try and get on the backside of this.
Yeah, Viper's actually getting connected on by the feathers. Oh, they're going to go for a TP flank from TheShy. EDG need to get out right now. You cannot hesitate on this one. They sense what is going to go down, and they will back away.
Still looking. They're still looking for it. They drop down a ward down by On, so they know they can get this massive slicing Maelstrom quickness combination, but they now know what's up. They have figured out the plan from Weibo. It was just a little bit too convenient to have a 5v3 in that mid lane, but with the pressure you now have, and with Jiejie looking significantly chunked, you can start the Baron here, and you got an Azir and a Xayah. You can shred this.
100%, and they really want EDG to come into them, use their heal tools, use their disengage, and EDG, the Baron's gonna die!
They now know it's going down. They need to get in there as soon as they possibly can. Jiejie's gonna get kicked away as he jump over the side of the thing, but it's not gonna be stolen. SofM will eventually fall. The last auto attack does go down, and that's gonna be TheShy using the slicing Maelstrom onto Flandre, who cannot stay alive. You've lost 2. If you get the rest of them out, you should be fine, but there's gonna be, oh, Huanfeng. Nice cleanse to keep himself alive. It is still advantage to Weibo, and again, 20-minute on spawn Baron. I don't know if this is what you want to go for here, guys. They're going to actually get the charm onto Angel, but he has a great Emperor's Divide, gets himself back to safety. Oh, it almost went all terribly wrong over a blue buff, but yeah, the end of it all.
It's not worth it for the blue. I'm just going to state that as a fact, but Weibo get the heist, right? They trade down 1 kill, but they secured the Baron. Absolutely what they're looking for here, right? And in this situation, Jiejie does everything he can, flashes over the knockup, wants to ult after into the pit, but can't get there in time. Baron secured, so it's all about Weibo getting as many numbers as they can out of this situation. They end up losing 2, but they get 1 in return. So, you know, you net 1 behind, but the Baron absolutely makes it worth it. I will say, this overstate here, it's a blue buff, dude. Let it go. You got the Baron. But regardless, Weibo got what they want. I think a pivotal thing is they were really playing around their spikes. Importantly, particularly was Huanfeng. He had the Manamune just finished and fully stacked, the Eclipse as well, so they felt really comfortable to take this. Whereas you look at Viper, his items are more expensive. He's still trying to ramp up to the point where he's, oh, I mean, I say that.
He's ramping up right now. There's going to be the feathers going fly, but he gets the Moonlight Vigil out off after it. TheShy trying to push forward. You got to be careful, though, that Severum will heal an awful lot for Viper. As you can see, he's already back up to half HP. And we're starting to get very testy right now in this game. Both these teams just throwing punch after punch. EDG still very much on the back foot, but it's only a 2,000 gold lead.
Yeah, and I think the big thing for me is when EDG want to fight, they really want Viper just to be able to charge around, decimate people with the Zilean boost, but also like it's about Flandre getting a big ultimate onto the side of Weibo, because Weibo have so many AoE tools in their kit. If you end up getting a good flank angle, if you get onto the back line, things like the Slicing Maelstrom can be so devastating, the quickness as well, because critically, Meiko can only ult 1 person, right? You can only choose 1 person to save, and especially if you end up dying in a bad position, it doesn't matter that you come back.
All right, 45 seconds till the Dragon spawns. We are missing quite a few key summoners here for the side of Weibo Gaming. No flash on, no flash on Angel, or even on TheShy or the SofM. Still waiting for that cleanse for Huanfeng. And on the other side of this, you have got some pretty key flashes there. Viper still got his. Meiko with the exhaust as well, going to be huge to try and stop TheShy. I don't know if Weibo, or excuse me, EDG are really in a position to contest this Dragon. They've got too many waves of pressure to deal with, and again, the power of the Baron.
And look, On just walks behind, into the mini wave, doesn't care, slams a ward down, and instantly there's so much threat from the Kennen potentially going for a TP flank. And honestly, I say that, he's just pushing the bot lane, he's just taken a tier 2 tower, ton of extra gold for TheShy. EDG will take that mid-tier too, but they are in a better position in terms of approaching that dragon. They are just zoned away.
They're going to lose an inhibitor. They lose an inhibitor off of this, unless the side, we can see they're going in. We're going to see the charm landing as TheShy is taking a bit of a battering right now. They're going to go forward. There's a slightly Maelstrom, went a little bit too close to the sun. Scout will just about keep himself alive, but that's a big ultimate now down for Weibo. They have to be very aware of that if they want to try and fight around the objective, but the objective's already been taken.
Yeah, so objective secured. Weibo pretty happy with that one. They don't actually manage to take down the tower. It was so close, but it is still alive for the time being. But Weibo managed to secure that third dragon for themselves, one away from the soul, and it just feels like they are the ones who've been dictating the pace of the game. They are the ones who've had the pressure. And I gotta say, I was so hyped for this Vladimir, right? Into the Kennen in particular. It's a strong matchup. It scales exceptionally. If you can get in with those big flash hemo plays, you can do so much damage. Flandre's had a rough game, right? Yep. It feels like he's consistently being caught out. And I think it's credit to Weibo. Whenever they've seen him, they've used their CC tools to ensure he just doesn't have a chance to really play the game.
Yeah, he's going into the Crimson Pool just so late. It means he's coming out with probably sub 400, 500 HP. It's not really enough to kind of be that big significant Vladimir. I will say the longer the game goes, the more ability haste he picks up, it is going to become a bit more of a nuisance. He will get more healing, he'll become more efficient, and of course the big damage in the late game is still relevant, but Weibo have done a fantastic job of just mitigating all that pressure. Let's have a quick look at the game state. It is still about a 2,500 gold lead to Weibo. They are now on Soul Point. They picked up their third dragon. 3 items just finished up there for TheShy. He's sitting on a Banshees and the Void Staff. I love the Banshees second because it just gives him that little bit of extra survivability. He's not getting charmed. He's not getting CC down by the Zilean. And again, looking at all these different items, Weibo are happy scaling into like this is going to come down to both these teams just kind of smashing heads against each other in a big 5v5.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, the Zilean, the Aphelios, the Vladimir, these things are all extremely strong. For EDG in the late stage of the game, right? When they get to that point, they're going to be a thorn in the side of Weibo. But the thing is, Weibo have answers. Weibo have great teamfight tools. And we've said they like to lean into that, right? So they just keep fishing for these opportunities. But I love that they keep setting up an objective. They'll start it like they did with that 20-minute Baron. They'll force EDG to walk forwards. And then they just always pose a threat of this TP flank consistently. TheShy has done an excellent job just by having that constant pressure, but it's really been on setting up these deep wards for potential flanks. You can see he's actually right now moving into the enemy red side jungle, trying to get some vision down, potentially set things up.
Yeah, I see TheShy now respecting the fact that Scout and Flandre's combination, he has no resistances. So if he gets caught out by something, he's just dead. There's nothing else he can really do about it. He's either going to trade his life for another, or he's just going to go down as quick as you like. But TheShy and SofM now starting to link up once more, as we do have ourselves a little bit of a quick pause. Let's wait to see now. Luckily, between the two teams, nothing is happening. It's not a pause in the middle of a team fight, or not a pause because of some kind of dive or anything like that. We are just kind of seeing how this game is going. But right now, it does feel like Weibo are feeling a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, and I think they should just continue to do this, right? I think Baron's coming up soon. It could be seen as a bit risky to go for it, but honestly, I think the way they've been managing things, they could probably take it if they just set up deep vision so you have the potential TP flank. And that is really what EDG are so scared of constantly, is Kennen coming from behind. You don't have anywhere to use that movement speed from the Zilean on. Obviously, if you run one way, you go into the team. The other way, you go to the Kennen. And on top of that, the AoE CC means essentially going into it, you have to make a choice who you're going to ult. Probably going to be the Aphelios. But then, even if he does survive, right, if he's respawning and everyone else is dead, not going to end up in a good situation. Alternatively, the second one is they can't just wait for that dragon, right? The Ocean Soul, you know, I tend to weigh Ocean Soul by when you have champions who are tanky, or they have a lot of time to get value out of it, right? That's the thing, because with the Ocean Soul, if you're squishy, you can just get blown up. Right? And it's kind of meaningless.
It's not going to do anything for you.
Exactly, right? And so I feel like bulkier champions have more value out of it. They can get more from it. Like, if it was on the EDG side, the Vladimir could buy so much time with his pool. The healing comes in. So I don't think it's the most instrumental thing. We could even see EDG opt out of it. But it does mean that if the dragon goes down, Elder Dragon starts to come on the cards. And that one is a scary one. Now, EDG are looking to collapse onto Angel, and he's just going to TP out.
He has to, yep. Pops down the Shurima's Legacy, and that's going to be a TP summoner down here. As EDG recognize they probably did get that summoner out of him. And they're going to be happy as Larry now to know that that's going to be down. So again, big cooldown being blown here, and this is the thing. I think I love this for the side of Angel, though, because he recognized he had to blow. Because if he dies there, the Baron goes. He's a massive deterrent from the side of EDG to make sure they don't go for these big plays. And we can now see On looking to be a bit more aggressive with his warding, but no real aggressive wards here. No massive TP flanks available for Weibo, and honestly, they want to change that soon.
And I think you see how EDG are positioning. They are really
Ooh,
trying
Jiejie.
to stop. Oh!
Oh, we're going to see them going in. Scout gets caught out here by SofM in a little bit of a 1v1. He does it on the kick, and he gets him there. That's going to be a little bit of a kill there to the side of Weibo, and that's a big kill as well when you consider who they just took out. It's the Ahri. The pick potential from the side of EDG is no longer on the board.
And Scout was just so greedy. He wanted to save the ult. He didn't want to lose that team fighting. Oh, Engage comes in.
They go in. There's the quickness. They're going to try and force Viper to use some summoners, but he just has the Gale Force. That's 3 or 4 times now we've seen Viper hold his summoners just to use the slightly less cooldown of the Gale Force, but now you got to be even more careful because Flandre has taken a big chunk of health and he hasn't really got any minions to try and get off of, and TheShy's on a flank.
Yeah, this is so scary right now. Scout has 15 seconds till he's up, so they're trying to force the factor now. Oh, the ult!
There it is! You couldn't even see him! They didn't even know what was happening. TheShy finds his marks, and that's 2 more kills over to Weibo. They are taking control.
Weibo have spent this whole game looking for that one moment. Blink and you'll miss it. They didn't even get to see it. Jiejie and Flandre get blown up. No flashes used, right? No ultimates used. They didn't expect that. And it's a beautiful play from Weibo. They will not only get the Baron, but they can head straight over towards the Dragon as well. Jiejie will be up in time, but the problem is, I mean, I say up in time, he'll be up for its spawn, but he's not going to be able to get there in time. So Weibo should just get soul off this as well. And Scout was just so greedy here, right? You know, he doesn't want to ult and not have it available for a subsequent fight, but as a result, he ends up just waiting way too long. The flash kick comes in. As soon as Sonic Wave hits, doesn't matter what you do, you're already dead. And then this play from TheShy. So good using this pocket of vision.
Yeah, and again, look, you can see them. They don't even see him. They don't know he's there. And then by the time they realize that they are already dead, they just can't do anything about it. And honestly, the SofM and TheShy have been exceptional this game. They really have kind of brought back a little bit of that flavor that we all know and love them for. The 2020 form for SofM, the 2018 form for the side of TheShy. But look at that damage. It's just so much. That's what Magicus is that Ahri has a Banshees.
Yeah, I mean, it was Jiejie who got.
Oh, sorry, it was Jiejie.
Yeah.
I thought it was Scout. My bad.
It still just feels like anyone who steps up gets chunked so heavily by Weibo. They're playing it so well, being patient with it, and EDG, they just haven't really found the window. The Vladimir has been useless so far.
They're going to go and try and catch out SofM, who's in a lot of trouble, and he is taken down. But you've lost an inhibitor turret, and the mid lane still pushing in against you. EDG, you need about 4 more of those. You need to try and take the ace, right? And they're going to go straight for it. There go the feathers flying. And the rest of Weibo do disengage. Hemoplague has been invested as well. So 2 big ultimates, and you don't really gain a lot. You just protect your base.
And the problem is, right, you see that window, you see that opportunity. Like, we want to force a fight, and you see Flandre go for it, but it's a Kennen, it's a Xayah, it's a Rakan. You can't just run at them, right? If they stop popping the ultimates, if they stop popping the CC, you'll get absolutely decimated. And, you know, the SofM pick will serve its purpose. I think the critical thing here is that they aren't going to be able to do any more with the Baron, but it's still a massive hit to EDG. SofM just a bit of an overstay. I think he was trying to get the ward down so he could hop to it, but was late on it. And just once the CC layering comes in, nothing you can really do. But back to live. Ocean Soul in the hands of Weibo. They have a 5,500 gold lead. Kennen is super strong. The Azir is pretty comfortable. Huanfeng and the Xayah is a bit of a monster. And as much as I said these EDG scaling elements are really powerful, it just feels like they haven't been able to find favor in the team fights. They haven't really been able to find much strength from, you know, things like the Zilean. Like, think the Zilean ultimate, has it even been used this game?
I don't think so. I genuinely don't believe either Meiko hasn't been in a position to use it, or he just hasn't been available to try and go for it to get some value out of it. The Hemoplate goes down onto Angel, but it doesn't do anything. Yeah. Then we can see TheShy moving forward onto Flandre, who's taken so damn low. While that's been happening, the rest of Weibo are taking the mid lane. EDG, you need to make a decision.
They need to try and do something. They were trying to find an engage on Angel, but it's so difficult. Viper playing really confidently, but Weibo just back away. They're like, we don't need to win this fight. We can just back off and play around this pressure we have in mid. EDG, it feels like they're crumbling. It feels like Viper knows he has to be the big carry, but Weibo are so respectful of him.
Oh my lord, and Huanfeng is no spring chicken. He is doing some serious work right now on the Xayah. Again, with something like an Aphelios, yes, you have massive damage, but you have to get relatively close. If you don't have your green gun, that which he does at the moment, but once that's gone, he doesn't really have that much range, so he needs to be so careful. And now, Scout, Jiejie, and Meiko seeing if they want to go for something. They're going to try and find out Huanfeng it on as the quickness goes in and the feathers fly. They're going to try and jump back on top of this one, but Jiejie is just a little bit too late. On picks himself out of his Zhonya's, and they're able to survive again. That felt like it almost was the moment for EDG, but just not quite.
But the problem is as well, Huanfeng still had Cleanse and Flash. They were never going to kill him, right? If the Charm connects, you should just be able to get away. On gets chunked. They were close to taking him out, but even if they take him out, what do they really do other than get a bit of gold and a bit of a reprieve from the current pressure? It's still a long time before that Baron and Elder Dragon are up. Weibo would have time to respawn, and things are looking rough. And I think a big element of this is Viper's struggling to get in range, right? I feel like Weibo has a good comp at keeping things at bay and keeping them at a distance. And as much as EDG has tools to circumvent that, right? The Ahri can dash in a lot of charm. Flandre, especially if you sped up, can get the big flash ult. When they are relying so heavily on Viper, he struggles to close the gap. Because yes, he can run forwards and auto, but when you look at what Weibo has, if you're running into Feathers, or you're running into the Streamer Soldiers, or you're running into, Slicing Maelstrom, you're going to have such a rough time.
And the big thing is, yes, you do have the Chrono Shift. The Zilean ult is fantastic. But when you're in that respawn stasis, you're not putting out damage. You're not putting out DPS. That's what you need from the side of Viper. The Chrono Shift should be a lastminute.com setup to make sure he just survives the end of a fight, not the start of it. And it feels like right now it's just EDG trying to find a moment. I will say they are getting up to a point where gold leads don't matter. Items are starting to max out completely, but SofM needs to be very careful. He's on 3 items, but that Ahri still hurts.
100% right. Able to chunk out, and there are some big spikes coming up soon for EDG. The Rabadon's nearly finished for Scout, right? Viper looking towards getting his 4th item sword, and then need that power absolutely, because it's 20 seconds of the Baron, a minute on that Elder. And the problem is, because there's been so much pressure from Weibo, you can see that they push so deeply into the enemy jungle. There's this very aggressive line of wards, right? Which means if EDG try and push out the contest and they miss one, there's that potential TP flank that can come in. And you can see now, they're charging forwards. They want mid-priority. Look at that ward in the lane behind them. Perfect if TheShy wants to get onto the back line.
There's literally 2 of them. They don't know that these 2 wards, you can see already pings going down onto that far ward, literally just about the back end of Red Buff. That's where they're looking to try and put TheShy and maybe just end this game. It's going to be on EDG to try and look for a fight before that can really happen, as TheShy is off to the side. Scout playing bodyguard for the moment. Has not spotted out the little electric Pikachu, but would be very remiss if he did not see him now. Now they back themselves out of that little corridor as SofM starts to move back towards it. Here we go. Nothing from Viper, just not able to land anything. Uses the Gale Force and the Moonlight Vigil. That's huge for EDG.
Yeah, a lot of tools invested here. They're fishing so heavily, but I feel like Weibo are just setting the trap.
Oh, Meiko flashes away as they're going to try and jump onto On. As we can see, there's the Crimson Pool coming out. Flandre hits literally nothing of any value there. We'll get a little bit of a Hemoplague proc there from SofM, but that's about it. And now Weibo are all grouped together to try to see if they can make this one work. SofM jumps on the Jiejie, but Scout is dead! Out of nowhere, TheShy finds an opportunity. He's now going 1-for-1, and it is going to be on Viper and Meiko to turn this fight around. It's a 2-for-1 trade in favor of Weibo. Jiejie is not really long for this world, and you can see that EDG, they just want to try and stall this out. They want to try and keep themselves alive. SofM still pushing, still hunting, still looking for more as they finally catch out Meiko. Will be pushing forward as we can see Viper trying to do the best he possibly can, but he's just not got the damage. Massive game from Weibo, and they should be able to run up to take this Baron and the Elder and anything they want.
Yeah, I mean, they could even look for the end at this point, but I think with Scout being up, no, the TPing in, seems like the mixed decision-making. It looks like they're going to send On to kill the inhibitor while they take Baron. I mean, why not? Best of both worlds. Definitely don't need his damage now. They should be able to pick up the Baron and have the Dragon critically. Viper died so late. They should just head straight to the Eld and be able to secure that one as well. Remember, TheShy still has TP in pocket, so will be able to join them and have 5 men strong. And this, EDG were just fishing for so long, and then On kind of baits with this engage. He doesn't really want to commit too heavily, and that's the power of the Rakan. You don't have to, unlike some other picks. They get the ultimate out of Flandre, and then there's a kiting back. TheShy once again using that vision so well. Scout just completely caught out, and again, you have your ultimate. How are you dying without using it in this situation?
Flash, ultimate, everything. Anything. You just need to try and keep yourself at arm's distance. Baron, an inhibitor. What looks like in the picture-in-picture. Thank you very much, observers, that we go on the full screen. They have the Elder as well, the 11,000 gold lead. EDG, they just don't look that confident. And look, they look like they had an idea for the Kennen. That Vladimir was nice. I like the concept of it. But it has not worked. Flandre's looked rough on this pick and really
100%.
hasn't done anything. And honestly, as well as that, Jiejie has just been completely out-jungled by SofM.
And it feels like they've struggled to find good engages when Meiko is playing the Zilean, right? And other than just run at them and have Scout look for charms, you have limited options. Viper still feels hypey. He's got his 4th item, still got the Zeal in pocket. He's really strong, but there's so much pressure coming out. Remember, Soul, Elder, and Baron are looking for more.
They're looking for more. On goes in, but he gets taken out. He will take Scout with him before the end of it, though, and that's going to be the last Nexus turret going down. This is going to be an exposed Nexus. TheShy is trying to see if he can do something here. Viper tries his very best, but it's just not going to be enough. Triple kill going over to TheShy onto Kennen, and that is going to be game 1 to Weibo.
And honestly, didn't even look close, right?
No.
We praised EDG coming out with this creative draft. We talked about the laning prowess of the Zilean into the Rakan. We talked about how the Vladimir would be able to scale up exceptionally, and they just really dropped the ball when it mattered. They never found a good team fight. They never found a single team fight where I was like, okay, this is what we're looking for out of this composition. And Weibo, for a team that really struggled the later half of the split, they looked damn good.
I mean, again, the two people that were probably the most critical of was the SofM and honestly just putting TheShy on tank duty. Neither of those things.
I mean, look what he did on Kennen.
I was going to say, look what this
Where's
man
he
can
been
do.
this split? Like, I mean, everyone knows that TheShy. Look at the damage.
God damn.
Everyone knows TheShy could do this, and it's like they finally realized we have this go-to
Wait
top
a minute.
laner.
He's a world champion top laner.
Yeah.
Still pretty damn good. It's just, and honestly, again, like I think that TheShy had an exceptional game. I think SofM really just had Jiejie's number, downloaded him, and just completely outplayed him in the jungle. There was not really... Jiejie did nothing. He did, and also, it felt like he couldn't.
You know, I'm going to say something as well. If you're going to be this inactive on a jungler, you might as well have just played Hecarim. Yeah. And then at least you have that much stronger engage tool. And think about Hecarim Zilean is pretty sick. I'm not going to lie.
The extra damage from the speed boost
Absolutely.
is pretty good, regardless of the chrono shift.
Yeah, the VOlibear just didn't do anything. And I felt like once Weibo were ahead, it felt so hard to aggress onto them because you took so much poke. We saw when they were trying to approach, there was that long-range poke coming out. And also, things like, I mean, the Azir, Xayah, and the Kennen. I mean, this whole composition is such a good kite back and peel comp.
Yep.
And I feel like because EDG were behind, we never saw creative attempts at like a TP flank. Like Vladimir on a flank is honestly can be as threatening as a Kennen. We never saw any approaches like that. It kind of just felt like every time they're like, okay, Weibo have control, they back off, put a ward behind us, pose a threat, and we just try and have Viper run at them, and it's just not going to work. So, you know, I feel like we'll probably see a big shift up in the draft because those picks were kind of specific here. But I feel like EDG was just gameplay issues and such a massive factor there.
Yeah, it did feel like it was Viper versus the world in that particular game. But not to take away from Weibo, they take the advantage in this series, and they're going to go ahead into Game 2 with a 1-0 on the scoreboard. We're going to send it to a quick break, and when we return,